Okay, so I'm officially at what you might consider to be a dead mall. And the reason why I'm here is because I am trying to show y'all where I used to park my car when this was a hip happening mall. I would park here, sleep overnight, and this used to be a big, huge mall. It had all the regular stores that a mall has, Nordstrom's, Macy's, Spencer Gifts, Forever 21, food court, all of that. They've since shut this place down. It's tore down, most of it. And then what you're seeing here is just kind of like some empty businesses. It looks like this used to be maybe a Bed Bath & Beyond, DSW shoe store. And then the rest of the mall is like tore down. It's like not even there anymore. And what you're gonna see is, I don't know if you can see over here, but there is still a Target across the street. That's in business, although there used to be, I believe, a Ross clothing store, and they've since shut that down. It's usually emptied out, and then they use it for like a spirit Halloween during Halloween time. But part of the reason I used to park here is directly across the street from this mall is a library, which is of course very useful. And then the 24-hour fitness I used to go to is right across the street as well. So this parking lot was very handy for me to park here, stay here, eat at the food court, go to the library, go to the gym, and then spend the night here basically. Now, I'm actually going to show you a sign that it says you actually have to pay to park here. Before, you didn't have to pay to park here. Let's see what else has changed. I mean, aside from the fact that this place is completely torn down, many years ago, or many years in the making, they had been building a light rail so that one of the light rail stops was going to be here at the mall. Well, the whole thing is they completely shut down the mall, and so by the time they actually built the light rail stop, and the light rail does stop here, there's no more mall. So it's kind of interesting that they put all that work and effort into having a stop here, and then they've completely shut down the mall. Here's my lone car in the parking lot. Not very many cars are here. Looks like they're doing some construction to build a new apartment complex. So that seems to be the only other cars that are here. Okay, so I am going to try driving around to show you a little bit about what is still here, the remnants of the mall. There is actually, well, you know what? There used to be a Chipotle here. I think they've completely torn that down. That's not here anymore. I used to come and eat there a lot. But actually what we have is a Barnes & Noble. So I'll just show you that. So Barnes & Noble, that's still open. And the reason why that's kind of a place that I used to go to is they used to have a coffee shop in there. I think they closed that down. There was public restrooms that you could use in there. And you know, sometimes it's just like somewhere to go to like kill some time, to like look around, flip around, look at some books and stuff. Of course, you could do that at the library as well. But, you know, it was definitely something to do to pass the time. And so, of course, that's still here. But everything else, I think I'll show you. Pretty much like everything else is all just like torn down. It's like this used to be where the mall is. Now it's just empty. There's signs here for the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team. Everything in there is like, it's all gone. It's all torn down. Northgate Mall no longer exists. They've now renamed it Northgate Station, which I believe is because now this is a light rail station. Oddly, if you were going to use this as like a parking lot to park in and then go use a light rail, you still have to pay, what did it say, like $15 to $30 just to park your car here. So that doesn't really seem like much of a bargain or a deal if you ask me. Okay, I thought just to make things interesting, I'd drive over to this Target. I'm in the Target parking lot. It's kind of like a big, huge parking garage. And from here you can see out over where the mall is, the empty mall. I will film here to give you an idea of the parking lot we were just in. Another thing to point out over here is directly behind this Target, there's actually a skate park. So let's go film that. Okay, so we're filming up above. We're in the Target parking lot, and we're up above from a park. You can see some people. There's someone walking their dog. There's a playground. I don't know if you can tell on that playground, there's like a climbing thing for kids that is in the shape of an airplane. I thought that's pretty cool. And then if you go over here, you can see the skate park that I was talking about. Right now it's kind of early in the morning. No one's really out here this early. Definitely thought This is a nice view, and this is all, like I said, right across the street from the mall, the empty, dead mall. But I do want to show you one more place, and that's gonna be, well, actually I'll show you two more places. I've got the library, and then I can of course show you the gym I used to go to. Now I'm not gonna film inside the gym because just out of privacy of everyone in there, but I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Okay, so we're about to turn into the parking lot of the Seattle Library, the Northgate branch. I just want to remind people, libraries are not like Costco, so you don't need to show any sort of ID to get in there. You can just walk right in. You can use their restrooms. You can hang out there. You can flip through some books. They've got tables, chairs. You can kick back. I know this library in particular, they actually have these chairs that face out these big windows, and the windows overlook this grassy area. It's kind of a nice place to just sit and kick back. And then also, another reason I used to come here is to just use their internet, their Wi-Fi, because I would come, plug in my laptop, do some work on my computer, and you know, it's all free. You know, you don't have to pay for using anything at the library. Library is always a great place. I did want to point out this no parking sign. I just barely made the cutoff here of where you shouldn't park, so I'm just filming this to show you how close call it is. The other sign, you know, it just says to make sure there's 2-hour parking, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we just want to make sure we follow that. Now, I parked on the street, but 24 Hour Fitness does have their own parking lot. The only issue is that they close this at nighttime, so it's not always open. And then sometimes I've come here and the whole parking lot has been full and there's been nowhere to park. So that's why I parked on the street. The other thing you're about to see is once you get into the parking garage, there is an elevator, but the elevator was closed, so you actually have to take the stairs. And also, in my experience, is a lot of times there'd be homeless people on the elevator, or people would use the elevator to urinate. I think this is why they've just closed it off to the public and they don't let people use it. And another reason I wanted to point out that I'm not going to be filming inside the gym is, well, what's surprising to me, and because I wasn't a regular gym goer most of my life, that when I joined a gym, I was a little bit surprised that when you go into the locker rooms, people do not wear clothes in the locker rooms. And I don't mean like they're in their underwear. I mean they would like not wear any clothes at all whatsoever. And I do understand that in a locker room you change your clothes and there's showers. But I guess I was really surprised to see a lot of people just walking around naked because that's not me. I usually at least wear a towel or something. But I think due to that reason, I am not going to film anything that goes on inside the gym. Okay, so we are now 2 blocks from the mall, the dead mall, and we're at this place. Let me show you. It's called QFC. This actually stands for Quality Food Centers. It's a grocery store. The reason I'm here is because I used to come here quite often every morning to use their restroom, and it was open to the public. Now it is not. Now it's locked, but I used to come here almost every morning and use their restroom. But I do have a funny story about this place, you know, being called QFC. So of course, when I first moved to Seattle, I had no idea what a QFC was. I had no idea this is a grocery store. And just based on their signage, it's like a Q and it has a crown on, like Queen. And so I didn't really know what a QFC was. I didn't know this was a grocery store. Now, also in Washington, they have a casino, which I believe is called the Quilceda Casino. So I used to see these signs that says QFC, and I would think Q like quill, the Q and the C. Somehow I got it confused, thinking that these were casinos, and that every time I drove by and I saw these signs that said QFC, the signage looks a lot like the casino sign. So I would get very confused and think like, that's weird. They have these like casinos all over town. Because something that you might find interesting here is they do have places that you can go to casinos, do cards and gambling and whatnot. And it's not like they're away on some Indian reservation. They're actually spread out all over town, like all over Seattle. So that surprised me, because coming from Arizona, if you were going to go to a casino, you would go to an Indian reservation to do any sort of gambling. So that's my so-called funny story as to that I didn't even know what a QFC was. And it took me a while to figure out that's what these were. And then I was able to come here. This place in particular, the one that's 2 blocks from the mall we were just at, is also very near and dear to me, because over the years that I've lived here in Seattle, like anytime I've been sick and I needed a doctor to call on a prescription, I always had my prescription sent here to this location. The staff here is great. I mean, too bad you can't use their restrooms anymore, but the staff here is great. They even have one of those like machines where you can measure your blood pressure, and it has like a scale built in. You actually sit in a seat and it weighs you, and then it does your blood pressure, and all that's free. It doesn't cost anything to use. And so then other than that, you know, it's a grocery store, so you can get all your grocery store needs here. But let's see if I can film one more place for you. Okay, so we are now directly across the street from the QFC that we were just at. And this is a parking lot of a Walgreens. I don't know if you can tell because there's no signage, but this is actually a Walgreens parking lot. And part of the reason I came here is because I wanted to show you the back side of Walgreens is the self-storage rental. It's called Northgate Self-Storage. I'm obviously not doing an ad for them. I'm not sponsored or anything, but this is actually where I had a storage unit for about a year. And this place, this location obviously worked out great for me. So I probably forgot to mention that the job that I had in Seattle was also near this area. So here you got 2 blocks away from here was the mall where I used to park my car. I used to go there to eat. You know, I used to work out at the gym directly across the street from the mall. I used to go to the library directly across the street from the mall. I used to go to the QFC that I just showed you. I used to go here to the storage rental place. All this stuff, all like in a 2-block radius. So definitely it was a great home base for me for a while before I moved on to a new home base that I'll talk about in another video. But I just wanted to kind of reminisce and talk about, you know, kind of how my life was here when I first moved to Seattle. This is kind of all I knew. And sometimes it's kind of weird to go back to realize that all the places I used to go to, half of them are all closed down now and don't exist anymore. But that's kind of how, you know, memories and going down memory lane works. But I do want to thank you for enjoying this video, and thanks.
Turn left onto Roosevelt Way Northeast, then turn right onto Northeast Northgate Way.